Knowing the surface landmarks of a particular anatomical region helps significantly in understanding the anatomical structure of the body. We will look at the surface anatomy of the upper back, as it will help us better understand the attachment sites and location of the muscles of the back connected to the upper limb. We will label the surface landmarks of the back starting with the scapula. The scapula, or shoulder blade, is placed on the posterolateral aspect of the upper part of the thorax. It extends from the 2nd to 7th ribs. Although it is thickly covered by muscles, most of its outline is palpable, especially the medial border. The acromion process lies at the top of the shoulder. The 8th rib is just below the inferior angle of the scapula. The lower ribs can be identified on the back by counting down from the 8th rib. Next, we have the iliac crest. It is a curved bony ridge lying below the waist. The anterior end of the crest is the anterior superior iliac spine. The posterior superior iliac spine is felt in a shallow dimple above the buttock, about 5 centimeters from the median plane. The sacrum lies between the right and left dimples mentioned above. Usually, 3 sacral spines are palpable in the median plane. The coccyx lies between the 2 buttocks in the median plane. If we move upward, that is cranial, we have the spine of the 7th cervical vertebra, or vertebra prominence, is readily felt at the root of the neck. The junction of the back of the head with that of the neck is indicated by the external occipital protuberance and the superior knuckle lines. The external occipital protuberance is a bony projection felt in the median plane on the back of the head at the upper end of the knuckle furrow, running vertically on the back of the neck. The superior knuckle lines are indistinct curved ridges that extend on either side from the protuberance to the mastoid process. The knuckle furrow extends to the external occipital protuberance above and to the spine of C7 below. So that concludes the discussion of the surface anatomy of the back. Now let's briefly swift through the skin, fascia, and nervous supply of the back. Human being mostly lies on their backs. Therefore, the skin and fascia of the back are adapted to sustain pressure of the body weight. Accordingly, the skin is thick and fixed to the underlying fascia. The layers of fascia are divided into superficial and deep fascia. The superficial fascia, containing variable amount of fat, is thick and strong, and is connected to overlying skin by connective tissue. And the deep fascia is dense in texture. As for the nervous supply of the back, the motor supply to the back muscles is discussed in the next section as they innervate the muscles of the back. As for the cutaneous nerves of the back, they are derived from the posterior rami of the spinal nerves. The posterior ramus is one of 2 major branches of a spinal nerve that emerge after the nerve emerges from the intervertebral foramen. These cutaneous branches arise from all 12 thoracic nerves, L1 to L3 nerves, and 5 sacral nerves. Each posterior ramus divides into medial and lateral branches, but only one of them, either medial or lateral, continues to become the cutaneous nerves, while the other goes to a rector spinae. The posterior primary rami supply the intrinsic muscles of the back and the skin covering them. As for the anterior rami, the lateral parts of the back are innervated by cutaneous branches from anterior rami. That is all. Stick around to learn about the muscles of the back that are also part of the upper limb.
Explore our extensive library of over 1,800 video lectures to learn about a wide range of topics. Only on sqadia.com.